This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed podcast. Alex, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. So today we're going to start with a game as per usual. This game is curated for you. I hope that you have fun with it. We went over it before, but for everyone that is watching, this game is called A Drink Here, A Drink There. So I want you, Alex, to create a drink for each of these settings. Some of them are very random, and maybe you wouldn't be drinking in these scenarios, but like a drinking, I don't even have time to have a drink in these scenarios.
No. Shannon, there's always a drink. There's always a room for a drink.
I think that's why it will be fun. Okay, so first, the apocalypse.
Okay.
When you're ready.
Well, as a sober person, I always joke that maybe the end of the world is when I decide to start drinking again. I wouldn't really. I've been sober for like 9 years, but
these can be non-alcoholic or alcoholic.
Totally. Yeah. Just in that particular scenario, they'll always be non-alcoholic for me, except maybe the end of the world. So maybe I would like I'd probably do like a shot and a beer for the end of the world.
Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah.
If I do drink, that's my drink because I'm not. I just like want to get it out of the way.
Exactly. Form and function.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the next one. This one is more tame. An aquarium.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I used to love those like really tacky fishbowl cocktails in college, like at the Korean restaurant, like karaoke. But we'll do a non-alc one. We'll make it blue. We'll put some like cute. There's some like pink gins you can get at our store, and I think obviously we throw in like gummy candy.
Yeah. I love the gummy sharks. That's like the
Yes.
like if it has a gummy shark in it, I'm getting it.
I'm done. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. The next one, the moon.
Oh, wow. How apropos after our girls went up in space yesterday for 5 minutes.
Around.
I think we'd have to do, this is kind of an old reference now, even old for me, but like a Fanta, maybe like an orange-based Fanta, because that was, or it was, what was the one all the astronauts drank? It's with
I didn't question the Fanta
Tang.
thing. Actually, don't know.
Yeah, you're younger than me. It's called Tang. It was like the...
Yes. Okay, I remember Tang.
Yeah, so I would do like a Tang and sort of a Tang screwdriver. That's what I would do.
Ooh, that sounds really good. I like that one. Favorite so far in taste.
Definitely. Yeah, delicious.
Okay, last one, a camping trip.
Oh, how sweet. Okay. I'm always cold and I go camping a lot. So I'm thinking like hot toddy by the fire, which I do with non-alcoholic whiskey. My favorite brand right now is NKD. But yeah, some natural honey, a little black tea, and some whiskey, baby.
That sounds so nice. It sounds so warm. I feel like I would feel very, very comforted.
Cozy.
That actually brings me to a question that I didn't have prepared, but I'm curious about.
Mhm.
Okay, so do these non-alcoholic beverages, do they give you that warm feeling that alcohol does when it goes down? Curiosity, I guess.
Yeah, good question. Totally depends on the brand and
Okay.
the person, right? Because some people are able to like that, just the invoking the ritual, I say, gives you all the same feelings you get when you drink. For me, it's true. Like I loved your game because I feel like beverages really help anchor me in time and space. And I have a theater background, so it's like a prop. I love a prop and like
It's such a prop.
yeah, exactly. So, there's that aspect. the kind of psychosomatic aspect. And then there's also like, there are whiskeys who add a bunch of heat elements to give you that like warming sensation. And then there's a whole other category called functional beverages that have nootropics or plants or supplements in them that make you feel. So there are some that have like a warming or a calming sensation.
That is really, really cool. And I love that you said it as a prop because I always think of I like holding a drink.
Yeah.
Maybe if I like I might have a drink for 2 hours and not even touch it, but I just like holding a drink. Makes you feel safe.
That's totally. I think it gives us all something to do with our awkward hands, especially like high energy people like both of us obviously are.
Yes. No, it is something that's very perfect for that. So I just wanted to, well, okay, I have a bunch of curiosity questions, so those might be like, fine. But okay, so Spirited Away, first thing I think of, obviously Studio Ghibli, which I would think you were. Okay, so is that what inspired the name?
No,
Okay, do you get
not
that a
at
lot?
all. So to be clear, I'm I'm not a founder. I'm the
Yes.
co-owner and partner at Spirited Away and the general manager. Douglas Waters founded Spirited Away and came up with the name. And I'm blowing up his spot here, but he didn't even know about the movie. Um, but yeah, he just thought it was a great name, and it is. And then
It
he
is a
got
great
asked
name.
all the time. He had so many customers who were like, Studio Ghibli, oh my God. And but yeah, no relation actually. But obviously, I mean, I freaking love that movie.
Has he watched the movie since being asked?
Yes. And he went on a year-long trip around the world and made a point to stop at the Spirited Away Village in Japan.
Oh, that's so sweet. I feel like you could do some beautiful partnerships in Japan, like related to that. Right?
So true. And Japan has a really cool non-alc scene as well.
Yeah, no, definitely because of like Asian flush.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that's very I think I found out a lot about that at my previous job because a lot of people there would get that and I didn't know it was like a genetic thing. That's
Yeah.
like a lot of like Asian cultures are like less tolerant to alcohol, which I had no idea.
Fascinating, right?
It's very interesting, especially since I found out Irish people, which I am very have
Awesome.
a similar thing, but they're known for drinking, which is a very funny.
Irish people just drink through it.
Yeah, they just yeah, it's very
I'm an Irish girl as well. We're from McGuire's on all my mom's side. Yeah.
I'm a Donnelly, so I
Okay. Well, thanks.
they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But so I want to know more about, and I'm sure the audience would love to know, about your background in coming into this field. I think that
Right.
would be something that. So I'd love to hear your story if you could share.
Okay, I'd love to. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll try to keep it concise. It's pretty random. I think I'm like a good example of just being opportunistic and
No, that's awesome.
saying yes even if you don't know how to do the thing yet. So I went to acting school in Boston at a very fine conservatory. At the time, I graduated in 11. Joined a traveling Shakespeare company and performed Shakespeare for all sorts of audiences, 2,000 person audiences, the biggest stages in Nashville and New Orleans and DC, all over Mississippi, the Midwest as well, South Dakota. We also performed at like prisons and libraries with like 2 people. So it's super varied. And then I moved to New York City and um, maybe a trigger warning for some people, but I lost my way. Acting, the business was really, really hard, a lot of rejection. I wasn't in school anymore. I got into the service. I had had jobs all through college, working at coffee shops and restaurants. So I went back to the service industry. Big part of the service industry for a lot of people is drinking and the camaraderie you have with your fellow suffering servers. And it's
Yes.
job and the drinks are a huge benefit, especially if you're young and poor. So I really leaned into that. Kind of lost my way. Pulled a geographic, which some people will understand, which is moving to solve your problems, which never worked. So, yep. Wherever you go, there you are. So I found myself in Seattle,
Oh, I love Seattle.
Me too. What a beautiful city. I was there because I have some family there. So I was leaning on them and working Seahawks stadium bar during the Russell Wilson years. That was really crazy.
Awesome and sounds horrible at the
Oh,
same
so
time.
horrible. Yeah. But anyway, I really learned how to hustle, and I did, for all intents and purposes, still fall in love with the service industry. I just like, and the theatricality of it, right? Like there's props, there's a backstage, there's a front of stage, there's like all sorts of cool stuff. Like um but again, I couldn't really get a handle on my drinking. So I moved back home to Utah to dry out. I'm not Mormon, by the way, for what it's worth. I think people usually wonder when you say you're from Utah and you bring up drinking, but not Mormon. Um, and from there, I'm getting to the interesting part of the story now, and I'll wrap it up. But I quit drinking, and suddenly my whole life started to open up again. I got an offer from an old friend I went to school with who was directing something off Broadway. So I had a chance to get back in the city, and I had been long distance dating my now fiance, but we just met. And I said, "Hey, I need somewhere to stay for like 3 months while I do this show." And he was like, "Okay, sure." So I moved in, never moved out. That was like 10 years ago. But yeah, I got a job at a coffee shop, and I really wanted to stay away from alcohol and the service industry. Coffee shop was the closest thing from that job, from just doing kind of the best I could. I made friends with a lot of really interesting regulars, and one of them owned a small independent pet food company, and he needed a sales rep. And I didn't know how to do that, but he knew I knew how to work a room because I knew everybody's name at that coffee shop, and I was getting I was falling in love with New York City all over again. The cool small businesses and the owners and everybody's all mixed together. So I started working for him as just like a trade show rep, and over the next 6 years became his head of sales for the Northeast. Um, and the crux of that business was that they only worked with small businesses. There was no Amazon, there was no big box stores. It was a brand for independent small retailers, which is a dying breed in America, as I'm sure you know. And I love small business. I just fell in love. I realized I wanted to own a small business because that was always what I was missing in New York, was like feeling like I had a piece of it. Any of these big cities, I feel like,
Yeah.
you just kind of want to conquer them. I do anyway. So I got the sales job. I was learning about small businesses, and I started a sober women's group. It's called Spirited Away. I'm sorry, it's called Sober Sally's. I was like, wait, just wrong numbers. Sorry, so rude. No, I got all my friends. So COVID hit, right? I was very open about my sobriety. I had lots of DMs coming to me from all my friends individually being like, "I want to talk about alcohol, but I don't know how." And I was like, "Let's get together." So we all started getting together on Zoom. From that group, I learned about this weird store that sold only non-alcoholic beverages. And I was like so lit up about it. Like, I could not imagine, after basically drinking seltzer at bars, and I continued to go out. I still like going out. I like taking advantage of everything the city has to offer. I so I went into Spirited Away. I had a really emotional response as soon as I walked in. I was just like, holy crap, like I can have everything here. And I don't feel like I'm missing out. Everything is gorgeous. These are made so nicely, intentionally. And last part of the story is I told the owner, Douglas, that I really wanted to be involved. And he didn't have a job for me at the time. Small business, super strapped, all that. But I kept hanging out, and he eventually told me he was planning on taking a year-long trip around the world. Would I like to run Spirited Away? Crazy, like really random, but he must have gotten a good vibe from me. And I said yes. And I started just as general manager and then matriculated to a partner. And the rest is history. And I'm sorry that took so long, but that's the story.
No, it's fine. I really loved that. It was also, I really resonate with your story on like a different level of the idea that I'm also very opportunistic. So hard.
Yeah.
This is like such a weird parallel, but I always worked in the service industry growing up. I feel like everyone, you know, you're in college, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I serially worked at pizzerias for some reason. I don't know. I'm not Italian. I come from New Jersey, and there's a lot of Italian.
Oh, that's good enough.
Like, you're like honorary Italian
Yes,
at that point.
definitely.
But I got my first like real adult job because someone really liked my service and came in again.
Yes.
I didn't even remember them. There's so many people that come in. I didn't even know who they were. And they came in, they're like, I really liked your service the last time I was here. Here's a goodie bag of a bunch of products that I sell. I'd love for you to come work for me. And everyone thought that was like the strangest thing. And I thought it was strange. So I didn't know people do that.
Yeah.
And so weird because that's like kind of exactly what happened to you.
Yes. That's so funny. Well, and now I do it all the time. Like I realize how rare it is to see a like semi-young person like really give a shit about something that is pretty inconsequential to them. Like that's special.
I guess it also I don't know how like generationally I guess I don't interact with the people younger than me much because it
Yeah.
doesn't happen as much. But I did notice a insane appreciation for my customer service solely because people weren't getting that
Yeah.
like otherwise. And I think it's sad actually. Like
It
it's
is.
kind of sad because I'm just being nice. Like I just see myself as being like a normal person.
Totally.
And
You're not
people
doing much extra.
I know, and I feel like it makes me kind of sad actually, like this to the future of the service industry, like not giving like a shit. I hope they do. I hope that it's not everywhere. I know it's not because people are nice to me all the time, but like,
People are nice. I think it's also a mix of like places need to pay their workers the right amount.
yeah, for them to care.
Yeah,
Because if
you
you're
have
asking
to.
to care, money is value. If you don't
Money is
value,
energy. Yeah, I really believe that. And you've got to give. So it also shows when you've worked for somebody like you and I now, if we ever manage people, which I do, I'm very sensitive to the fact that I've been managed and I want to be treated like they're treated. And
yeah,
I think that translates. But also, yeah, it's just it makes any job more fun when people like it. It's a good time. And yeah.
exactly. I think when you feel important and valued at your job, then you're more likely to like care. I mean, like when you
Yeah.
can go into a place and know that everyone loves working there. Like you can feel it.
100%. 100%.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it's
so
true.
speaking of, okay, so I'm sure having so much passion for Spirit Away that you do love working and like co-owning. So, um, I have a bunch of questions about this. So, first one, how do you go about educating people about like
Wow.
there's because there's probably so much education around it. Like a lot of people are
Yeah.
wondering. Like that first question that I had of like, does it feel warm going down? Like, does it
Oh,
like
man. Yeah. Yeah. So many questions. Education is the name of the game at Spirited Away. And it's why in all premium retail, like this is the same in dog food. It's the same with shoes. It's the same with anything. If you want to nerd out, you need to go to the specialty store where the nerds work, right?
yeah.
That's yeah. Or like, a really high it's usually the higher quality spots that can take a little more time with customers. So that's what we do at Spirited Away. We've obviously we every year we're busier by a lot. I think we're 30% busier, 38% growth year over year at this point. And that's been consistent the last 5 years. So getting busier, which means more questions, but also less time for customers sometimes. But there's tons of good resources. But usually we start with, what do you like to drink? And it doesn't have to be alcohol because we have a lot of people come in who've never drank before in their lives. A lot of Muslim customers, a lot of just like East Asia, like that. A lot of parts of the world people don't drink, never had.
Yeah,
So,
it's not
I mean,
common.
like, what's your favorite cocktail doesn't mean anything to them. So, starting with like what's important to them, I love working at Spirited Away and in this industry because you very quickly cut the bullshit. It's very much like people come in and they're like, I'm looking for a change. I'm looking to mix things up. I need something that I've never done before. I'm new. And it's like you're just really talking about their habits and their rituals very quickly before you even know their name sometimes. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of equating what you do know about beverage and liquids that they enjoy and then finding a way in because we have about 230 products at Spirited Away right now, which is a wide selection. It is by no means the whole selection. There's thousands of products. We get dozens of samples, as do all the non-alcoholic bottle shops. These like sort of specialty educational hubs. There's lots of us around the country now.
That is really well. One, that's lovely to hear because I think that is there's so many reasons that people don't drink, whether it's sobriety or religion or just the stage of their life that they're in, or they do drink and they just like not like drinking things that are like drinking but not drinking.
100%. That's it exactly.
And so it's really nice to know that there's so many options out there too. Do you guys offer like classes for making drinks kind of thing? I was always like, that was something.
Yeah. That's such a good question. We've hosted cocktail classes in the past.
Oh.
Usually we pair with brands and they lead them and they base it around their drinks or their liquids, their spirits. Spirited Away. Yeah, we are primarily just a retail space, which is so interesting because we have such a great name and reputation, I think, in the industry, being like one of the first and longest around. But most of these small businesses that are like ours, there's one in every major city at least now, they make a lot of revenue by flexing the space for things like classes, events, tastings. It's just a great revenue stream and a way to maximize. You're paying rent for 24 hours a day. You might as well use the space as much as possible. Spirited Away doesn't do as many of those. We found because of us being in downtown Manhattan, we can kind of act as like a flagship. So we actually do more like brand activations in the space, which has been, I'm sure you talk about those all the time on this podcast, but it was a big learning opportunity for me and a cool one and cool to see.
How are you able to choose the brands that you want to work with? And knowing that so many come up to you, like how do you narrow it down? What's like your thought process when doing that?
That's a nice question. We are very blessed to have a lot of inbounds. And as someone who also works in the field selling this stuff, one brand in particular, Pentire, into bars and restaurants, I know how fucking hard it is. We can
I know.
like it. So I know that outbound life. I know the inbound life.
It must be sad to like have to say no when you know how those
It is.
feel.
I do it, but I also know it's just business, and I hope they know it. But I always try to be kind and to give a real response, and I always respond, even if it's like a week or two later. I always try to respond. That actually reminds me of something. But first it has to taste good and fill a need. I really choose now based on a number of factors: flavor, scalability, like can they afford to we only have to service downtown New York City, but a lot of our customers are international or visiting. So it's great if a brand has more brand awareness and market expansion than that, but it doesn't have to be. We have a lot of craft brands that only do New York City right now. I'm really looking for something that's different. A founder that's really passionate and cool and wants to be involved in the retail experience, and like a story. Hopefully a true story. If it's really good and made up, that's also fine. But
I mean, like you're not gonna get caught for the made up.
Yeah, go off, sis.
You're not into acting. I mean, like you're good at it.
Entertain me. But I think there are so many duplicative brands right now, like seriously thousands, that the story and that stuff has to be captivating for us to sell it to our customers.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Is there any part of like the non-alcoholic industry that is saturated? Like is there like one specific part of it that's like really there's so much coming out right now or like anything like that? I'm just out of curiosity.
Your questions are so good and like insightful, I think. Yes, there are. I see the bitter red. This is very specific, but the bitter red aperitif category.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It sounds random, but I'll tell
Oh.
you why. It's because it's a beautiful color, so it just
Mm.
looks great in bottles. And bitter factor is one of the closest things you can get to the piquancy of alcohol, like that
Mm.
light, um, bitter aperitivos. You pace yourself with them. You don't slam those, so they're really attractive as like a proxy. Um, there are so many, and I'm kind of bored of it, to be honest. I think they've been done amazing. They're great. I don't think people should stop innovating, but I think we also like, I want to see a little more interesting stuff. There's also like every beer has been
Mm.
made, but
Yes. 'Cause non-alcoholic beer is even big in like the big beer industry.
yes,
Like I know even my sister would drink non-alcoholic beer, like not knowing about all of these other
yeah,
options that they have.
exactly.
Mhm.
Athletic Brewing did a lot in the industry. They were acquired in part by Dr. Pepper a couple years ago. So they got that DP money and they did a
Mhm.
Super Bowl ad. And I always talk about this Super Bowl ad because it was awesome in how sort of understated it was. I don't know if you remember, it was 2 years ago. I don't watch football, but I watched it. And it, it was like a woman at a bar at like time of it watching a game, and she said, "Can I have an athletic?" And the guy said, "Yep." And he put it on the table. And that was the ad. And it was very much just like no big deal. Like
Yeah.
order an athletic. It's kind of ubiquitous with like a non-alc now. And
Yeah.
nobody's gonna make a fuss. No one's gonna call you out for not
Really.
drinking, just being with everybody else.
Mm.
I thought that was genius. Um, but it's so easy to make non-alc beer. Most of these people are already making it. You just de-alc it, which is not nothing. It's a relatively time-consuming and expensive process, but you can get it pretty close. But that being said, I don't think beer is oversaturated because like everybody loves their region's beer, and I
Yeah.
think there's like room for it.
No, I definitely understand that because thinking about like the sheer amount of craft beers that
Yeah.
exist that are
Yeah.
non-alcoholic, that are alcoholic, I can probably see that the non-alcoholic beers are can't even withstand like they can't
Yes.
they can't even surmount to the amount of
No,
like
not even
craft
close
beers
yet.
that are out
Yeah.
there.
Exactly.
That's so interesting because I actually love what you said about the commercial because I do, and maybe this is because I'm overtly socially conscious at all times. Like I'm always worried that I'm like doing something wrong.
Yes.
That being in the service industry and having worked in bars, my biggest worry when ordering something non-alcoholic is like, oh, the server is going to be mad at me because my bill will not be as much
I
as
know.
someone else's. Do you ever feel that way? Do you?
Yeah.
I think about it all the time.
I do, and I think I still get that at bars. I feel like there's a lot of American shade around
Yeah,
not drinking.
culture unfortunately, like, makes people angry at each other for no
Yes,
reason,
yes,
and
yes, yes, yes.
that is what people live off of
Yes,
because that's
that's
just
so
how
it.
our country works.
That it's kind of capitalism's fault.
Yeah,
I
it's just
mean, here we are talking about capitalism, so it's fine. We're trying to find our niche, right? Um, I mean, this has been done. You were talking about like beer's been done forever. It's so standard in Europe too, like Germany and Spain. I was just there last summer. You can ask for cerveza sin alcohol, like everybody gets it. They don't have a lot of choices, but they just put it down. It's very common because they just want to get people together. Like it's just important to be together and drinking and eating. It's about what you're drinking and eating or fucked up. So I think like that culture is coming over a little more. But also, yeah, I was just on a hospitality school podcast at Johnson and Wales. They have a big, beautiful hospitality program, and they're really into non-alc. And it's very important to let like all the service industry people here know that there are fine non-alcoholic options now. And by fine, I mean capital S, like premium, that you can charge about 75 to 85% of what you'd charge for your regular craft cocktail menu. And people won't get mad at you anymore. You might have to say, maybe it won't be right for your bar or restaurant too. Like you have to be a
Of course,
little
yeah.
nicer. I think it's like you should vodka soda land. But if you're a place where people are into it, like you can say, well, look, it takes extra work to de-alcoholize the products, and our bartender and bar director worked really hard. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful. And then you can charge that much. So I'm excited for that. But to answer your question, yes, I feel so self-conscious. I still feel self-conscious not drinking sometimes. It's like a people-pleasing thing. You want to give people the right to give you something.
Yeah, sometimes they even like compensate with a larger tip because I'm not.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I like, should I even do that? That's not really fair. But like, it is like, I'm so conscious of the fact that people are living off of this money, and it
I
just,
know.
the more you know about it, the more it's so funny because the people that aren't educated on it or like just don't care are the ones.
Oh, they won't even tip.
Or
Yeah.
giving the tip.
It's crazy. It's
But
crazy.
yeah, no, I was just in it's really cool to know that the industry is expanding to the fact that, like you are still kind of like, maybe it sucks to pay a premium price, but it's also really nice to be able to still have that
I love it.
camaraderie, not be like judged or,
Yeah.
because people love the act of going to a bar a lot of the time. Like maybe it's not
Yes.
even drinking, but it's like that ritual.
Yes. I don't miss alcohol. I don't want to drink it anymore, but I work really hard to make some disposable income. I also made the choice not to have children. So like I live in the second most expensive city in the world. I like spending my money on fun shit. Like beautiful, not
Live. Your life is only so short. I mean,
yeah, man. And like I'm doing all the other stuff too and saving and giving to charity and volunteering. But part of my life is engaging with the economy in a way that gives me joy. And that is one of the ways. So I don't get mad. And there are so many beautiful bars that are really with it too.
Mhm.
So for as bleak as I make it sound sometimes, it's really awesome.
No, I really I love hearing that too, and I think that there is sometimes I think it's sad for a lot of people to not realize that there's so many ways to enjoy life without having to drink. And I think that having those options of, because I think that those settings are so common,
Yeah.
that people think that they're the only option. Sometimes, like in your area, they might be one of the only
True.
options to like go out and have fun. Like there's not
Totally
like,
true.
the base things. So to have just the option of non-alcoholic, or like you're not just getting water all night or like whatever,
Yeah.
and hang out with your friends, or go and do something and feel comfortable, and to see that expand is just really wonderful.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Well, I think this is the perfect way to end, because we're kind of on like a little bit of a wholesome note, and we're like right up at time. So this is so fun. Thank you for sharing so much about this industry, because it is really something so cool to me. I'm really happy that you were able to come on, because I loved exploring this.
You ask such like lovely questions and your curiosity it really inspires me. And if you're ever downtown Manhattan, please, please, please stop by. I'd love to commandeer you for a couple hours and taste you through what we've got to offer.
I would absolutely love that. I have a friend in Hoboken, so I go to New York like every once in a while with her.
Oh
I would
yeah,
love
hit me up. Hit me up.
That would be great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching. I hope that you get to explore these options as well. That would be really lovely. Check out Spirited Away. You will have the link in the description. And thank you so much for your participation as well, listening in. And
Yeah,
thanks, Alex, for joining me again. This was absolutely lovely.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shannon.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.